Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Vogel, the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Transportation Impact. Welcome to the fifth installment of the Let's Talk Ship discussion series. Our team has developed this series with the goal of providing you with education, ideas, insights, and data related to the ever-changing shipping environment. Today, you'll hear specific and actionable information small parcel and freight shippers alike can use to lower costs and improve efficiencies in your business. Today's topic focuses on how business intelligence can change your shipping game. Today, I've invited one of Transportation Impact's strategic partners to the discussion. Our services complement one another's business, but more importantly, we share some similar experience. Their company's called Vision 360, and they are absolute experts at BI. So today I have Eric Litras, the Director of Sales and Marketing, and I also have Guy Manias, the Director and Product Manager of Parcel BI at Vision 360. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, you two are a great fit for this discussion, and I'm so thankful that you agreed to come on today. I know it takes some preparation to do these kinds of things, but you know, Eric, your entire career has been spent in advanced analytics and reporting, data warehousing, BI, IT strategy, and ultimately sales, which is kind of rare to have that kind of background and marry that up with sales, but definitely unique. And I thought you'd be able to bring a lot to the discussion today. And Guy, you have decades of tech and systems integration experience, and now through your work at Parcel BI or on Parcel BI, the tool is empowering 600 million in spend, right, to make better decisions through the use of BI. So I think you guys are going to bring a ton of value to our audience today. So the first thing I want to do, though, is, you know, I want to kick this off by first giving our audience a really clear definition of BI, business intelligence, because and our CTO, Norm Pollock, would say this. I think up until a few years ago, it was largely a marketing buzzword. I think it's still often misused in that way today, but it is becoming more clear in the market. But just for the audience purposes, Eric, why don't you kick us off and give the audience a definition of BI?
Absolutely, and thanks again, Jamie, for having me. I will try to keep it at a high level. As you and I discussed, I could probably talk about this stuff for hours, but you know, it's really no secret that business intelligence, or BI, as it is often referred to, is really one of the most talked about business practices in the world right now. Data is everywhere, and companies are really starting to realize that they need to use it to better themselves. A staggering statistic: 90% of the world's data has been collected in just the past 2 years,
Wow.
which is just staggering. So, you know, business intelligence from a definition standpoint, you know, if you ask 10 different people what BI means, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. But at a high level, it's really the strategy, the technologies, and the multiple data sources being brought together for deeper data analysis and the delivery of information. At the end of the day, business intelligence is all about connecting information to decision makers. And the business intelligence tools that are out there are essential for companies right now to stay competitive and maximize their revenues. Regardless of size or stage that they're at in their BI journey or experience, they're now using software to analyze, manage, and really visualize their business data so that they can take action on it, and sometimes near case real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think, you know, as we were preparing for this and talking about how, you know, the definition of BI can be, as you said, if you ask 10 different people, you'll probably get 10 different answers. But tell us about how a business knows if, you know, BI is right for them, if they should be investing in that kind of thing.
No, absolutely. And my answer to that to everyone is really simple. You know, BI is for everyone. You know, every company out there has data that they can use to be better informed. Now, their businesses are all going to be unique in their own way, but they all have data. And a lot of times, just getting started with business intelligence or getting started with a BI platform is the toughest part. A lot of companies think my data is too complex, my systems are too outdated or old. Getting into BI is way too expensive for a company of a small to business. You know, they're struggling because they really don't know where to start. And really adopting a data culture is that first step. and it can be intimidating. But BI is a journey. I'm sure you'll see that Guy and I will mention that many times in the presentation, and which is why finding a good partner and adopting a really phased approach, really strategically determining which areas of the business you want to tackle first and second, is really what it's all about. So, anybody that has data can adopt a business intelligence platform, because ultimately, once you start to unlock that data, you open one door, you're going to find 3 other doors to go down. And that's what's so exciting about the process.
That's really interesting. So how would a business, Eric, prioritize where to start?
It's really identifying your pain points. So oftentimes, we have a collaborative session where we meet with, executive leaderships and really just find out their reporting process as it stands right now. Find out where they're struggling, and ultimately it's asking the CEO, CFO of an organization, what are the first 5 things you want to know every morning to ensure the pulse of your business is strong. And that's really how we start to build our platform. We really start from the top down, because until we know what those decision makers really need to know on a real-time basis, we can't really put the report structure in place, knowing what it feeds up to.
Got it. So, Eric, how are your clients using BI, and what types of business problems does it solve for?
It's a good question. It really solves all kinds of departmental issues. Our clients span over a wide range of industries, but they're all using BI in the same fashion. They're trying to identify opportunities, expose issues or threats throughout the organization, and they're doing so by product, by work center, by customer, by employees. So everybody from the CEO down to the shop floor worker or the truck driver can use BI and BI tools available to them to help guide the organization in all levels. We're talking about areas in sales where you focused on, customers, margin, orders, and backlog. Areas of finance. Our BI platform has sometimes, helped finance departments speed up their close by 10 days in some cases.
Wow.
Manufacturing organizations getting a handle on their productivity and efficiency, exposing where maybe they're losing some time on the shop floor, that day as opposed to 2 weeks down the line. Supply chain, on time, on budget, monitoring vendor performance. And then ultimately, most of our clients really want to get to customer and product profitability. And that's where we can take all the different areas of the business, put it together, so you can really start to analyze what decisions you need to make to improve the bottom line and increase revenues.
You can get a really good picture of just the data story, which is so important to your point about, visibility equals results, right? You said that earlier. Improving productivity, better cost management, improve margins. There's just so much you can do with it.
Absolutely.
Eric, you had a couple of examples earlier of clients that had reduced excess inventory and on-time deliveries. I think those would be really interesting stats to share with the group.
Yeah, and again, it's all about getting visibility to data. A lot of times ERPs, they do great for the business on a day in, day out basis and running the actual day-to-day activities, but they fall short in reporting. BI is all about being proactive in reporting, whereas most ERPs and systems tend to be static and reactive in nature. So by installing a BI platform, by using the reporting and the data visualizations, you can start to monitor and spot trends that are affecting the business. We've had clients that have actually reduced their excess inventory by up to $1 million.
Wow.
We've had clients that have improved their on-time delivery from 82% up to over 95% in just a short time. And this is all achieved by complete visibility into every aspect of the business, continuously measuring performance on a daily basis, the ability to rapidly surface issues in real time, and really put out that actionable data, that actionable insights that companies can make decisions on and really drive action for better results.
Yeah, that's amazing. $1 million in excess inventory and being able to improve your own on-time delivery, which is so important to many shippers, especially today as capacity continues to be stretched out in the market, in both in freight and in the parcel networks. Just by making better decisions, you're just empowering the user to take those matters into their own hands.
Absolutely. And before we move on to Guy, I printed off a couple, high-level statistics that I think may interest the entire audience. Small organizations of up to 100 employees have had the highest rate of business intelligence penetration in the last 2 years. So where people think BI is big, corporate at an enterprise level, it's the small to mid-sized businesses that are really getting in and getting a handle on their data. In the coming years, 69% of companies plan on increasing or introducing business intelligence into their organization. So this is a trend that is not going away, and adopting a data-driven culture is so important because if you're not doing it, there's probably a good chance that maybe your competition is. And the last stat I'll throw out there is, more than 51% of businesses that are leveraging data analytics and BI are experiencing better financial performance. That's over half of the company using that data. So
wow.
Powerful statistics that that again I could probably talk about for a lot longer, but I know Guy's chomping at the bit.
We're ready to get to it. Yeah. So Guy, you bring an interesting experience since you are the director and product director for Parcel BI, which brings BI to parcel shippers specifically. So as it relates to shipping at a high level, what business problems is BI solving for some of your clients?
Well, I kind of break it down into 3 areas. It exposes what the carriers are doing to you because they're always coming up with charges and changes in their pricing and their rates. It exposes what you might be doing to yourself to drive costs, making bad decisions or having bad processes in place, maybe not having clear policies. And then also what your suppliers or your customers and third parties might be doing to you. So if you're giving your account out for your suppliers to ship to you or to third parties to ship on your behalf, there might be, again, poor communications there that are driving up costs that aren't necessarily seen. So having BI is able to give you views into all those areas of the business, and not that there's always a problem, but knowing that there's not a problem is sometimes even something companies don't have a good handle on, and they're oftentimes surprised. There's always something. You never know what it's going to be, but BI always exposes some insight for savings.
Yeah, it sort of shines the light on those dark corners. But one of the things that our clients talk to us a lot about that's a real challenge for them, and we've talked about it on this webinar previously, is how can clients work on their internal KPIs and use their data to leverage achieving those KPIs. And it sounds to me like BI can really help somebody get there quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. One, as opposed to trying to sort through your data and guess at the pain points, it immediately exposes those pain points very quickly, very rapidly. And a well-constructed BI solution answers questions and provides direction. So one of the questions is, where is my attention needed? Well, it's very easy to look at your KPI and maybe your customers, your receivers, your senders, and see where your highest costs are, what type of services are being used, what type of accessorials are being used, and then also some of the housekeeping elements that might not be getting attention, whether it's an inactive account that you're still getting billed for, or not properly providing dimensional information on your packages and things like that. So there's all sorts of stories that come out of BI, and everyone's different, but some examples can include that we had a customer they didn't spend a lot of on parcel, and they really only used it for inbound shipping. And what they were able to see through BI is that their primary four suppliers, who were supposed to be giving them free ground shipping as part of their agreement, and had their carrier accounts to ship them expedited at the request, were still using those accounts to ship ground shipping, and they were able to reduce their spend within a week by about 10-12% simply by going, having the exposure to realize this was going on. They had no way to go, to monitor that without the right tools. So, their strategy was hope. And with BI, they now had a better strategy of really insight and management. So.
We've told this story before on this webinar series. We were in a demo once with a shoe company, and we were just digging through some of the reports that were available and it was the CFO was in the room, and we noticed that their office is here and their warehouse was just across the street, and employees were shipping overnight the shoes from across the street to the office. And so it was a funny story to tell, but definitely helped them put some parameters in place, just like you mentioned a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. So, like, in order to manage something, you have to be able to know it. And BI provides that insight. And you'd asked before about where to start a journey. Eric said at the top and down, that's a great approach. But for some companies, I think starting with something that can be implemented quickly and demonstrate value is also a way to grow BI and gain adoption. Is to start with something specific, and taking that first bite of the apple is always the hardest. So I like starting with parcel. I'm sure I'm biased in that regard, but I think it gives a lot of companies a great use case for BI in general, being able to get a data set that's typically very difficult to manage. I would almost suggest it's almost by design that the carriers don't want you to have that insight into your data. And when you pull back the curtain and really get to see what's going on, there's always insights. You mentioned that the one shipping overnight across the street. Boy, address corrections alone, being able just to expose how many times they're repeating with the same customers or the same senders and so on. There's just tons of insight to be gained, and it's the most exciting part of the journey is really addressing a problem, seeing it resolved, monitoring it, and then moving on to the next one. That's why I definitely say it's a journey, because that unfortunately it never ends. There's always something to build upon. But without the data, again, I think you're just guessing, and that's you're going to make decisions anyways. You're going to choose to do things or not to do things. But having the most information at your fingertips, I think BI provides that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you touched on just a minute ago, Guy, was getting set up quite quickly and adopting best practices. So, two-part question: how hard is it for a shipper to install BI if you were to partner with someone versus versus building it out themselves?
Well, that's a great question, and I think I'm going to answer it first in the microcosm of parcel BI. But implementing BI in general is probably more about how quickly can the good data be accessed, the right data. So in the case of parcel BI, we've built all the necessary tools to gather the right type of data from the carrier's website. So that's a pre-built BI solution, so that can be deployed literally in a day. A company could have their data within parcel BI, where on Eric's side, it takes a little bit more than that, but having a proven process and knowing what we're looking for, we're able to provide our customers with more direction to get there faster, as opposed to someone who is like starting with a blank canvas and trying to figure out along the way. So I've kind of described Eric and his team as BI Sherpas, because they'll help you climb that mountain, because they know the paths to take and where to go. So
Yeah, it's an excellent question, Jamie, and a lot of people don't know how to distinguish it, because BI isn't just, taking data out of a system and putting it into some pretty charts and graphs. A BI platform, the true guts and heart of a BI platform is the back end data modeling. And one of the things that we do well at Vision 360 is we have pre-built data models that are about 80% complete. And then we take that last 20% to really customize it to that particular business or to that particular department within the organization. If anybody tells you they have an out-of-box, complete BI solution, I tell them to run, because their business is unique. No two businesses are exactly the same. And that's why, having a good strategy, having the right partner that can really walk you through that journey is key, because it is hard. But once you get it into place, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, I can't remember the exact stat. Was it sounded quite high to me. Was it 70% of companies are going to adopt a BI strategy? But those are small to medium-sized companies, right? Not every shipper is created equally. Not the most largest shippers often have data scientists and can build some of these things out themselves. But so I'm curious, if a shipper, and I'm thinking maybe, Guy, you can maybe take this one. If a shipper's looking for a BI platform to help them with this, what are the things that are most important to look for as they're trying to source a partner to work with?
Well, I think there's several things there that are important. So to Eric's point, having a good model. We've had customers come to us, and when we loaded their data, they were comparing it against what they wrong, you're missing data. And then I said, well, with the reports you were using before, if you had a shipment that you did 1 week, but then you got billed the next week for it, was that 1 or 2 shipments? Well, that's 1. So okay, and then if you had an address correction come back on that shipment the following week, or a return, or an undeliverable, is that 1 package, 2 packages, 3 packages? So well, it's 1. And I showed them that their model was counting that package for every time it appeared on their invoice, so it inflated their count. So where our model rolls everything up to that tracking number. So having a solid model is understanding that the visualizations and the pie charts and the charts, that's all great, but it can't be built on sand. It has to be built on a solid model. So that probably is number one. I think ease of use. In order for the BI solution to provide value, it has to be, you don't need to be a technologist or an analyst to necessarily use it. So having a well-designed, friendly user experience is critical, but also one that's flexible, because BI doesn't need to be pie graphs and charts. It can be Excel spreadsheets, and a lot of our customers are very comfortable using Excel. So we deliver the data through Excel, as well as other visualization tools. So having that flexibility. I think having it structured well so it can be used throughout an organization where multiple users or business entities have access to the data that's relevant to them, not just at the executive level. Because if the executive just has this data and can take action on it, he or she needs to be able to provide direction and give that data to the right person in the right department at the right organization. So something that can be easily expanded and shared, to have that one source of truth. I know it's a marketing catchphrase, but it's true. And then I think being proactive, something that doesn't require maintenance from the user, but can also bring the user in proactively when things happen. So with Parcel BI, for example, we give users the options to configure an alert that draws, that's sent to them to draw their attention, because especially right now, people are very busy, all sorts of challenges. Being able to get that data faster and drawing attention to it is critical. And then I think a path to continue the journey, as we talked about, it should be something that is expandable. So as Eric mentioned, you open one door and it leads to 3 more. So data sources change and companies change and things change. So something that can grow as the company changes or expands, adapts to new markets, new data sources and things is probably the last one I can think of.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And I think one of the things that you guys do really well is even the work that Eric's doing and the work that you're doing on Parcel BI, you're really partnering with your clients and you're helping them continue that path and continually evolving the BI options that you're providing your clients, and you're able to do it in a really quick way because you're working with so many clients across the country. So not to give you a commercial or anything, but I figured I'd put that out there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And having a good PI, I guess having a good BI partner is someone who doesn't try to conform their solution to your business, but listens, understands, and will guide you down that path. Because sometimes the companies know their problems and where they want to go, and other times they didn't even know the problem existed until they start seeing the data. That actually happens with Parcel BI all the time. When the data is elevated and exposed, suddenly new challenges arise, and you need to be adaptable to that. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've got a couple questions if you guys are up for answering a couple questions.
Sure.
One of our attendees asked, they get a lot of reports and analytics from their teams just in general. And just, I think the question really is, how is that different than BI? Eric, you want to take that one?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and it's one of the things that I alluded to a little bit earlier. A lot of companies, they say they have reporting, and 80 to 90% of our clients say that they have a BI solution in place, but it's really about being able to connect those different departments of the organizations, those different data sources, to have the data automation and have that data flowing into the interactive reports and dashboards, and making sure that everybody from the organization is drinking from the same fountain. I can't tell you how many countless times we've gone into organizations and purchasing has their own reporting, and sales has their own reporting, and finance has other reporting. Well, if you put them all together and compare, you got to spend hours reconciling what's the real version of the truth. So having a BI platform and that one source of truth with those data models is ultimately the most important thing in flowing that reporting up throughout the organization, so that that you have consistency from that one data source.
Yeah.
And I think that being provided reports is one thing, but there's how repeatable is that? Does it require someone's time to go in there and build those reports and make them the way that are usable, or can that be automated? I think a lot of what we do is automating those data collection points and bringing it together, so someone doesn't necessarily have to build them. They're just there and refreshing instantly. But then also that if that report exposes a question, how easy is it to pivot to drill into the root cause? So you may, hey, we had 100 address corrections this week. Well, how many of those have are repeat customers that we've had? How often is that happening? Being able to answer those questions on the fly is what BI offers, I think, over just a standard report.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, and to even further on that question, you talk about the combination of different data sources. If we take the parcel data and we have all that information, now let's merge that with your sales data. Now we can start to potentially see what shipping charges are associated with what customers. So now you're kind of getting down to a more granular level of reporting in BI, and that's when you can really start to determine the profitability of the client by taking your FedEx and UPS invoices, merging it with your ERP sales data, and that's the heart and the essence of the BI platform, the ability to do that.
Yeah, you can see if your sales team is discounting a little bit too much.
Who's given free freight. I dealt with that in my former life an awful lot, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah. We've got a couple of CFOs and CEOs on the line, and one of them had a question about adoption. What does it take to adopt BI in an organization, and how long does it take?
Certainly, it takes a champion for sure.
Yeah.
It's an outstanding question, and it really starts at the top and adopting and really driving that data-driven culture, and letting the organization know that these are the KPIs, these are the dashboards that we're going to be running the organization off of. The Vision 360 platform that we implement is very user-friendly. We use Microsoft Power BI. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. And typically what we find is through our partnership mentality and the collaborative process of putting together this BI tool, typically 3 to 5 power users emerge. And those are champions that are thirsty for data, and they've spent 10 to 20 hours a week putting together reports. Now it's automated. So we've taken them out of the report writing business, and now they're in the analyzing business. And they drive adoption across the board because now they're putting out the reports throughout the organization. So a lot of times it just picks up steam itself. But again, finding a good partner that will train and be able to help you analyze the data up front is crucial with any BI implementation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd add to that it depends on how well the organization is run now. Is it a data-driven organization, but the issue is getting the data out to the masses? Or is it an organization that doesn't even have data disseminated, or it's not data driven? You're not holding people accountable to some type of number and things like that. So there's definitely cultural challenges there. Systematically, it could be very intimidating. We've got a lot of customers with multiple entities under a single umbrella where they're trying to pull data in. I would say that our team of data experts are very skilled at getting that data from multiple sources and putting it together. But for other companies, that might be a roadblock. So again, I think it's important to have the right partner who understands the process of getting that data together. If it's a company that's really, well, this is our one system that we use, and this is what we're looking for, it could be rapidly implemented. But the more complex the organization, the more that could certainly extend the implementation time. But also, don't try and take on too much. It's a journey for a reason. It's because we say eat that elephant one bite at a time. It's a big elephant. So I think as adoption is the key to adoption is having a success and continuing to build off that success, and get buy-in and more buy-in and more buy-in.
Love it. I'm a data nerd, so I get excited about it. So we don't have any more questions. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our audience today for attending. I hope that you were able to glean some information that would be helpful in your business day to day. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, let's make that happen. Also, myself and Eric and Guy are available for questions or just general discussion. So our contact information will be available in our follow-up. So this webinar will also be available post this call, and you'll be receiving that follow-up email. Our next Let's Talk Ship webinar will be Thursday, October the 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to see everyone there. Have a great afternoon.